Hello, hello. Happy Monday. Hello. Good night, good night. How is everyone? How's everyone's weekend? Nice. Well, I'm glad to be of service. What kind of videos are you editing? Love it. Welcome from Boston. Jen, congratulations on the second place. That is awesome. Congratulations. I'm doing well. I'm a little tired. I had a busy weekend, but I am good. Oh, nice. Looking forward to seeing it. Are you posting the documentary on YouTube? Where are you gonna be posting it? Just make sure you send it to me, or if you want to come on my show to talk about it, you're more than welcome to. Just let me know. Hello, Marcus. Welcome, welcome. You can even come on the show right now and talk about it. It's up to you. So, in open discussion, we're going to talk about anything and everything. Perfect. I will look out for your request or your email. I will try and DM you for sure. One. Just waiting.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. How are you?
I think I need to throw on some head. Yeah, I'm doing
Oh,
great.
can't hear you.
Hello, can you
Oh,
hear me now?
can hear you now.
Yeah, I was just connected to my Bluetooth headphones.
Oh. So, you did a documentary.
Yeah, I spent from the end of December to the end of Panorama in Trinidad filming a documentary I wanted to do for ages on steel pan in Trinidad.
Yeah, nice.
So
So what is your name? Let's
I,
let everyone know who you are.
I'm Chas. I'm a sound engineer and videographer. I grew up in Trinidad, even though I don't sound or look particularly
I was
Trinidad.
like,
I grew up in Central, so my grandparents are from Chaguanas, and that's where I was most of the time I was filming.
oh,
And
nice.
yeah, I moved to England when I was about 12,
Okay.
and realized that nobody up here had ever heard of steel pan. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a culture shock to tell people about this instrument that you love, and to hear the responses like, isn't that what, like, they play in cruise ship adverts, and everyone's idea of pan, especially back then,
Yeah.
was a guy on a beach playing in a cruise ship advert, which is, it's great to hear that kind of pan, but to me pan was always the big bands and walking up and
Yes.
down, feel it. And yeah, there's been some great stuff shot on pan in the past, but I really wanted to deep dive into what it takes to run a band and really get great audio recording as well.
That's amazing. So, what inspired you to do that? Was it just something that you thought that was missing, or?
I especially online, there's not a lot of available content. Like, I found that people come to Trinidad with like a it's usually like some US TV network or some foreign TV. They come in and they film a documentary or they film a TV piece, and it gets shown on TV once, and then it's never accessible again.
Yeah.
And what's available online is just not, I would look, especially, over COVID, I couldn't come back home, and I was missing it so much. I'm sure everyone was, because it was like this huge lack of Pan and Carnival. And I was online, like, looking at, like, every YouTube video I could find, and I was like, this is just, like, this could be so much better. And so, yeah, I decided I'll go to a pan yard, I'll do some filming, create the best recording I can. And it kind of snowballed into a feature-length documentary, just because the second I said, hey, I want to do this, 100 people said, yeah, let me help. And it was a huge kind of community effort for that. We had no sponsorship, no funding, so it was all kind of like out of pocket. And I really wouldn't have thought that I could have pulled this off if you'd asked me, a year ago when I started planning it. But tons of local videographers who offered their services for free, members of the who really put in a lot of time to learn how to set up the audio equipment to help me, because like you've probably seen when the band pulls up on stage, there's like 16 people running and set up mics. To do that by yourself is just this like insane thing, and we had to like develop a process. So the main band that I worked with was Tropical Angel Hops, because they're Chaguanas locals, and I went to almost every pan yard in Trinidad when I first arrived, because I didn't I'd sent out messages to people and not really heard anything back. So I thought, you know what, best way is just arrive in Trinidad, rock up in the pan yard, be the weirdo with the camera, and people will ask questions. And so that's exactly what I did. I rocked up, and it was actually fantastic, because you hear about the Port of Spain bands, and I'm from Central. I'd never gone down to Skiffle's pan yard, and so then it's a very different experience to come into the pan yard than warming up on the drag, to be able to hear them, see all the band's processes for how they all arrange their music. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And it was through that I, kind of decided on the bands that I wanted to work with. And so, yeah, it was a really, really awesome thing to be able to do. I thought I'd done my research. Obviously, I read, the Illustrated Story of Pan and books like that by Dr. Kim Johnson. Fantastic. Hello.
Hello.
We're just talking about this documentary, so just
no worries.
Yeah, so a really different experience to actually get in the pan yards, spend not just a night in the pan yards, but spend every night in the pan yards and match the insane schedule. People don't realize what those guys are in the pan are. You see those guys roll up, play pan. Yesterday, and that night of the performance, they spend getting those pans up onto the savannah. We finished on the day of Panorama at 3 o'clock, loaded savannah. 5:30, we're ready to leave by 7:30, catch a couple of minutes sleep, and then up by about midday.
wow.
There are people who've been 40 hours prepping for that moment.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you've chosen the bands to follow. I'm pretty sure you've spoken to a lot of people about Panorama and stuff and their experiences. What was your personal experience with going through that whole process?
It was the struck me was how kind of it is. It is a steel orchestra is not just a bunch of. It is a of people who are painting the tune is an important role, and seeing all of the roles that people play in the band. You go into a pan yard at almost any hour of any day, and there's people in there doing something. It's not just come and practice. It is a local community center. And that's something that I've never seen captured on another documentary. Because, you know, if someone's coming in to film a documentary on Pan and it's for a, you know, a TV series or whatever, they come in and they'll spend 2 or 3 days filming. You know, the privilege that I had was to be able to spend every hour with the band, even when they're not practicing, when they're not playing, you know, just spend time with the band and get people. And I shot over 160 hours of footage, which is a lot to know.
So,
How
long is this documentary going to be?
I keep it. Actually, the plan is to have a core documentary that's a nice, tight thing that anyone from outside can come and view and sit through without having a bunch of fluff at about 45 to 50 minutes. And then I'll be, you know, we have some fantastic interviews with Dr. Kim Johnson. There's a 2-hour interview. I can't cut that down and still do it justice. I'll release that by itself as a kind of a history plan, because that's what we focused on. I have footage of Jimmy Phillip and Chaguanas making a steel pan from oil drum to finished pan. This is one of the coolest things I've ever seen, is when you're beating a pan and it goes from sounding like hitting an oil drum with a hammer to sounding like a pan, you know, that first note it makes. Such a cool thing, and that's hours of footage. So release that by itself, kind of in the run up to the documentary, as well as hello, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Very, very well. Yeah, so wanted to kind of release that alongside it, as well as a kind of a more produced story that will focus on what it takes for the band to go from composition, because the band did a piece by Mikhail Teja, Hall of Fame, which is fantastic, and he was really heavily involved, more so than I've seen with most artists in the bands. You know, he would come into the pan yard, he performed for them right before their preliminary judging, which is fantastic.
Wow.
Also,
yeah,
spoke with him and interviewed him about his process, and I wanted to show, you know, what it takes to take a song from a soca to a pan arrangement, to getting all these players to play it, to getting on stage in the largest steel pan competition in the world, and play.
I am excited. When is it coming out? Like, I'm excited.
Aiming for kind of start of July. It's kind of still a bit of a moving date, because every time you think you've got the section you're working on nailed down, you go and look at another section and it's like, oh, this is different. But I'm actually going to start. Well, you know, there's already clips of it on my Instagram and YouTube channel. So it's Chas Shepherd if anyone wants to check it out.
Please check it out. Follow him and check it out, because I've been watching and I'm just like, I cannot wait till this is finished.
One of the initial clips that I edited while I was in Trinidad, and then I had to come back here. I've been working like crazy to put money back in the bank, because obviously this is just like brain. So I've had to kind of recuperate some funds, but now I'm able to actually spend a couple more weeks editing, and so there'll be stuff coming out, you know, every couple of days now for the next couple of weeks.
I'm excited. So for those that are just joining, we have Mr. Master Aloes joining us. I just want to I did this meeting you in person, so I'm doing it again now because you're amazing. As we have my lovely sister Sherelle. She is a past pan player. She still wants to play pan, so we're gonna try and get her back.
Why don't I get the bow down?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Got it.
So, Mr. Aloes, do you want to let everyone know who you are if they don't know, which I feel is wrong if they don't know who you are, but go on.
I am Al Foster. We're talking all things pan, so I'm a steel pan musician. I'm an arranger, composer of music, and I am affiliated and most known for my involvement with Pan Fantasy Steel Band out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. That's it.
So if you want to extend your documentary to Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested.
Definitely. Definitely.
There have been actually a few things documented. I haven't seen any of them, but I know that there's a few out there documenting just there's actually one in particular that focuses on a little bit on Pan Fantasy. The name escapes me now. It's not complete. It's been years in the making, so I gotta find out about that. Now you have me thinking. I gotta find out about that and where to find it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like we need more documentaries just kind of showcasing what Pan is and what it can do and what it's been doing for the community all over the world. So
Yeah, well, I think that's what's missing. It's so, especially in the last 2 years, right? Everything that we talk about now is measured against the last 2 years or last 3 years. But especially in that time when most people had time to be at home and just kind of look around, do you find a lot of connections with Steel Pan in places where you're like, oh, some places were new to you, some places were literally right under your nose, and you just didn't know. Especially in the United States, I find I knew this before. There's a lot of Steel Pan programs in the United States, both in elementary school, high school, and at the university level. Then and you don't really know until you connect with certain people. There's still a lot to know about that.
I think one of the most important things in the next is bands leverage social media presence. We've seen that with big awards at Panorama, and what like priority for me is showing the process for recording Steel Pan. I think that's like people bring in videographers to shoot the band, and they shoot it with the microphone on their camera, and it just doesn't sound like you're standing in front of the band. And we're able to spend months trying different microphone configurations and really refining the process to the point where we've got something now. It's like, yeah, this is awesome. It sounds great, and it can be achieved for not a ton of money. So it's something that bands could look at investing in and producing more of their own content, for YouTube content or whatever, because it can be a fantastic resource for bands to spread what they're doing, especially on the international scene. It's the first time I've ever looked at anything like YouTube analytics because I haven't done this type of stuff before. Awesome to see, over percent of viewership of this being outside of Trinidad, as all over the world. And getting comments on the videos from people who are like, I've never seen this instrument before. It's like, right, this is gonna be a great first introduction to it.
definitely. Speaking of doing miking your own pans, what mics did you use so other bands can kind of look into that?
So when I flew in, I had to be able to carry everything on the plane. So I carried a pretty small bag, and we carried about 20 different mics. One thing I would say is you don't need expensive mics for Steel Pan, which is the really cool thing. One of the things that we run into when we're trying to record like acoustic guitar is the noise floor of the microphones, where you're trying to record these like little details. Pan is incredibly loud. It is such a loud instrument. So you can use microphones that aren't very sensitive, and you can use recording equipment that's not very sensitive, and that stuff tends to be cheaper, which is really great. So I used a combination of different recording devices as well. One of the things is you're recording an instrument that rolls around, and so if it's all wired up, in the pan yard you can wire it up. When it came to actually rolling on and doing Panorama finals, we actually used recording modules in different places, and a lot of the ones that we used are relatively cheap. Stuff like the Zoom H4n or H6. That's consumer grade devices. The core the device that did like the really critical stuff and the detailed stuff, like the engine room where you need to really have some details in there to pull it through, is a device called the Zoom F6. There you go, H4n. There's a device called the Zoom F6 which has 32-bit recording, and that means that when it gets really, really loud, it doesn't clip. You'll be familiar with, if you record something that's louder than you have your gain level set for, it distorts. And it was a device called the F6 that basically records at different levels simultaneously and allows you to get around that, which especially if you're like one person trying to do it all. But yeah, I would say, relatively affordable mics, stuff like the Rode M5, these are like $50 US each. And fantastic for getting like the clarity and even stuff like if you go to any recording studio in Trinidad and in the world, you'll find like the SM57. These are actually great. Yeah,
I've seen that.
I think that's the standard. That's the standard. Everybody knows what that is. We reacted immediately when we saw that.
You can probably talk to like 5 from members of the and for Pan, the guitars and tenors are really mid-range focus instrument, and that's what these do really well on. So it's kind of mic selection. You know, small diaphragm condensers like this do really well for getting the detail on things like the cymbals on the drum kit, you know, irons in the engine room where you need that really almost piercing detail. These carry range. And then for the lower frequency instruments, we can look at using kind of, sometimes we use like measurement mics, which are omnidirectional because bass can travel in weird ways and cause phasing. The number one thing that is challenging is phasing. If anyone who's watching has ever tried to record an acoustic drum kit, they'll know that's like, if you've recorded like conventional live music, you'll know the hardest instrument to record in like a normal band is a drum kit. And it's because percussive instruments really care, well, the microphones for the percussive instruments really care about the relative distances between sound making things. So let's say you have 2 microphones, because you don't want to, if you just have one microphone, it's not going to pick up. So you have 2 microphones like this, and one is 1 meter from me and one is 2 meters from me. The sound's going to arrive at them at different times. Very, very slightly different in this context, but it can be enough that it sounds a little weird on a drum kit. A steel orchestra is 50 meters wide. It's a lot bigger than a drum kit. And so the biggest challenge, and the thing that I spent the most time on, was finding where in the band to record things and where to point the microphones so that you were only hearing specific sections. And that really helped to isolate out different components of the band. Yeah, like, I don't know if so this is, I'm actually working on it now. So you can see all of the different audio tracks. And I'm actually able to separate out and say, I just want, room overheads. And by being able to separate that out, it lets me level the band in a way that if that microphone was placed somewhere where I could edit the band, it would be really hard to actually get a clip.
That is crazy. There was a question here. Did you get to meet Bugsy Stark?
I did, yeah. He was one of the first that I actually wanted. Such a legend. I reached out initially through someone at ADCO and managed to speak with them, and I also managed to speak with them again in person through a guy called Austin, who's an American. He's got a lot of reached out to him for tips. He does Pan Rocks in the US, which is a really they do, Rush and other kind of like classic rock music on steel pan. Really cool.
Okay.
And so I meet him and met Bugsy. And yeah, it was a tough call deciding what band to work with. A really you everyone that you meet, because you meet all of these incredible characters. And there are legends in every band. And the reason I went for a smaller band, well, not smaller in terms of scale, but a less well-known band, was almost kind of like, one, you kind of almost avoid that controversy. And the other thing is, if you're bringing attention to steel pan globally, why not locally bring attention to a band that not everyone has gone to see in their pan yard? There's all of this, especially the bigger bands, and when you walk into BP, they've got a social media team. ADCO is doing great things with trying to get social media. ADCO does a ton of stuff now. And I went into All Stars, and they have people who come in and do work with them. and then you go into Tropical Angel Harps, and they don't have an Instagram page. Or they didn't when I started working, and they were also just an incredibly fun breath. One of the the benefits of working with a band who hasn't got all of this endorsement. There's not a whole bunch of people who have to say yes. You
Right.
go in there and you find, and they're like, they're not asking about, contracts or anything, which is good because, I have no money to offer anyone. So it's really just like, yeah, I'd love to come and film you guys. And they're like, yeah, that sounds fantastic. And even down to like, Mikhail Tedra was like, you have to clear copyright in a bunch of different ways. You've got the song royalty from the original arranger. You've got the arrangement from the arranger of the pan. You've got the performance rights from the players and the band. And then you have to get synchronization rights for all of that because it's on video. That can be a nightmare. And it was so easy because the first time I spoke to Mikhail Tedra, I was like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. And I was like, I need to kind of work out, how I can compensate you for using your music. He's like, don't worry about it. But just I know straight away. Yes. What an absolute legend to be able to do.
Awesome. Are you going back next year to maybe expand on your documentary, or?
What I made with the band was I have to play next year.
Yeah.
I will see you next year then.
Yeah, I have to go back and play because they're like, you doing all this filming, not even picking up sticks and playing. I'm like, I'm doing a lot of work. So I was like,
that's exactly that's supposed to work.
Yeah. So yeah, and I also plan to go to China if I can, if I can afford to get down there this year when we actually release the documentary. Regardless of whether I'm there or not, we're going to rent a big screen and show it on release night. It'll go live for free, but so that people can down because it's, the Pan Community Center, it really is somewhere, in Enterprise, everyone comes down to watch practice. It is packed. When you try and you're not going to find parking on prelims. It's just backed up for miles and miles. So I'd love to be down there when it releases. No guarantees about that, unfortunately, because I have to pay for flights.
That's fair. Well, if you want, I would like to release it here in Canada too.
Absolutely. Well, originally I was hoping to do a Creative Commons license. Just with how many people we've got involved and the amount of licensing, we haven't been able to do Creative Commons, but it will release for free. Initially it'll release on my YouTube channel, and there'll be an embed link, so if you want to put it on a website or anything, and I'll send it out to people like you if you want to stream on Instagram. The number one thing is just let's get it out to as many people as possible. I just want people to see it.
I'm so excited for you. I can't remember who I spoke to, but they said that there's someone here doing a documentary on Panorama and you have to talk to them. I'm like, I don't know who it is, but okay. And then for some reason, your page just came through my people to follow. And I'm like, I wonder if it's this person. So I clicked on it and I saw a few of the videos.
Your podcasts and stuff to get that behind the scenes. I thought I'd done research before I got to Trinidad, but obviously the second you set foot in Trinidad and you're in the Panyards, everyone gives you so much more information. And it was great that I was able to spend a long time down there. When I first planned this, I was like, I could probably swing 2 weeks. Because at the time when I started planning this, I was actually in the military in the UK. And I was like, I'm not going to get more than 2 weeks off. But actually, right before this documentary, I decided to leave. And so I actually, I was unemployed for the first 2 months of this year. I was like, great, this is the perfect I'm going to get months off to go and shoot a documentary.
Everything happens for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
Someone has a question here, Jen. Can anyone go to the Panyards and see what's happening? Of course. It's
1,000%.
Open door.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Some bands publish timings or whatever, but more often than not, you're going to want to rock up at the Panyard about kind of 8 p.m. is a good time for the band to be kind of in the swing of things. And you can just, it's free. You can roll right into the Panyard on any night of the week they're practicing. And it is an amazing experience to follow a song from the first time they start playing it. Because what happens is the band, you know, some bands just choose the song from the off. They know exactly what they're going to play. Most bands actually will arrange little pieces of different sokas from the year. So you can hear them, you know, learn all of these different things. And what's, you know, it's incredible how complex a piece of panorama music is. People often complain, you know, you say it like, oh, panorama's not, it doesn't sound like, you know, sweet steel pan. That's not what panorama is. Panorama is an almost athletic pursuit of showing people what the most insane thing that you can do on a steel pan is. So if you listen to that piece of music for the first time on Panorama Night, you're going to be like, it's kind of overwhelming. But if you've listened to it in the build up to Panorama and you've heard it refined and you've heard it become more complex and you've heard all the little tweaks that they make when you hear it on finals night, and it just is the best it could ever be. It's an incredible, you know, because I think the way I've heard it described by like my grandparents, they say, you know, when you watch a band on Panorama finals, you're seeing them play their music. But if you've followed the band to Panorama finals, they're playing your music. And that's the difference. So, I mean, I would, if you're a Trinidadian and you've not just gone into a pan, do it. Do it tonight. Yeah. So it's definitely. What do you think of Tropical Angel Harp's Youth? Yeah. So obviously, I think this is someone who's seen my footage of Tropical Angel Harp's Youth.
Yeah.
When I came down, I was like, I was on my list of things to film was a youth steel orchestra to see. You know, I wanted to show, you know, here's the youth steel orchestra, and this is how people get involved in the big band. I was totally unprepared for how good they were.
They're
orchestra. And I shot, you know, I came in early enough that I was able to shoot, you know, small band semifinals. And so I'd done that, and I'd been, you know, it's amazing to go and shoot small bands. And then I rocked up and saw the youth, Tropical Angel Harp's Youth play, and I was like, these guys are better than the finalists for small bands. This is I have ever heard. And I mean, they just blew everyone out of the water. The pan yards for most.
I think it's catching up. No, you're good.
we're good.
So yeah, I was able to do that, but and both bands are fantastic. But the performance of Mashup by Tropical Angel Harps is the most fun steel. You know, not only was it exceptional in how well it was executed, but they were just having so much fun playing it. They were having a blast.
Yeah, and that's the thing I've noticed with a lot of the youth bands. No matter what you give them, they're playing it with heart and soul, and they don't care. They're in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I would love to talk to you all night, but I don't want to keep you away from this amazing documentary. So
He's like, I gotta work. He's like, yeah, talking butts.
So as soon as I have clips to come out, I'll send them across to you. It's been amazing.
Please do. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for doing everything that you're doing.
Have a great.
You too. So everyone, make sure you tune in for that documentary because I feel like it's going to be amazing. Sherelle, what are you up to?
Right now?
Well, you're talking to us right now, but
What am I like? What? Like right now, this moment, what am I doing? I have Tropical Angel Harps Youth Steel Orchestra queued up because I don't think I heard it, so I was just taking notes then.
it's really good. It's really, really good. There was a school band as well that did really.
I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went viral. Did you see it?
I saw. Yeah, we all know. Yeah, yeah. It almost made me want to come back and play pan, like right there. But then I was like, no.
Go watch it again.
Pardon?
Go watch
it again?
Yeah.
I agree. So for those that don't know, who is Sherelle?
Oh, you want me to say who I am? Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sherelle. I'm Danielle's younger sister. I'm a dancer. I have a business called Soca Fit here in Edmonton, Alberta. So Soca is my love language. Prior to that, I played Pan. How long did I play Pan for? Like 13, 14 years, I think. A long time. How I got into Pan is because when Danielle was younger, she'd be staying out until like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I wanted to stay out late. I was like, I think I was 8, 9 years old. I wanted to stay out late. And my dad said the only way I could stay out late is if I joined Pan. So I joined Pan. And that's how I started into it. As I was doing that, I started dancing, and there was moments that I wanted to, quit Pan because dancing was really my passion. And my dad's like, nope, you committed, you're staying. There's multiple times I tried quitting, multiple, but he was like, you are staying, you're committed. I was like, all right, cool. 18, I tried to quit. 19, I tried to quit. And as we progressed.
Emphasis on tried. Yeah, you tried it.
Yeah. Because he was adamant. He's the type of parent who is like, if you do something, you are going to stick it through the whole entire way. I don't know how long that way was for him, but for me,
yeah.
It was until he moved back to Trinidad. I was like, all right, my time now. My time. But I love it. I would, like, if I had the time, I would definitely pick up a tenor. I played the cellos, and I thought it was the most boringest instrument ever because I always wanted to be a tenor. I hated strumming. I wanted to do the runs. I wanted to do all that stuff, but I was stuck at the cello. So if and when I do come back, it would definitely be a tenor. But now I just dance.
I have a cello pan for you.
You have a cello pan for me?
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So what you're saying is that we're all going to Pan Alive this year.
Pretty much.
Well, I'm already looking at tickets.
Seeing as
in Toronto.
people in other bands, you might, there might be dibs. People might want to call dibs on you guys.
Well, I can play for multiple bands. I can be a trainer. I can play for multiple bands.
Okay.
I can be a flag waver.
we use those. We have those.
Yeah, that was listen, okay, so whenever I would see like the panorama videos on what was it that Dad had, beta videos? Yeah. Like every single year. Single year.
A week of
what they get sent down. And like it was
like
beta then VHS.
I'm still processing that.
Yeah. You haven't heard that in a long time, hey?
No.
She's been playing the wrong cellos. That's what I'm saying. Like, listen, there was a time, what was the song? Passion. Passion was my favorite song to play on cellos because, like, there was a little run that I got. And even if it was a little, 5-second run, I lived in that run. But when I had to go back to the, strumming, I was like, man. And there was another girl who was playing with me, Titi, and we would try to sneak in little runs and create our own thing. And then our dad, I just see my dad's sharp eye being like, stop. So that's why.
It's interesting to hear that perspective because I can say that as an arranger, I only I use 9 sections in my band and only 1 strums. 1.
Really?
Yeah. Guitars.
Wow.
Or as you say, guitars, only guitar strum. So for me, the challenge with that though is because you have 2 notes. The challenge, which 2 notes you choose.
Right.
Because everything has a function, right? You can play 2.
Right.
You can play 2 notes together, but depending on the context and all that, and that's where it gets a little bit technically,
Yeah.
right? So, but and especially when you have other things going on, because with cellos, you have cellos playing other parts and melodies and counter and supporting basses and stuff like that. When you have that happening now it's more important to have those two notes. Which two notes color that part in the best?
Right.
So that's actually so and I say this only because you mentioned how uninterested you were in the strumming, which I totally get. And let me tell you, my practices don't feel let me word this properly.
No, word how you want to.
My practices
Say how you feel. Say how you really feel.
I was honestly going to say my practices don't feel complete without the guitars. What I will say, I will rephrase that and say that the guitars add a different dimension to everything. Everything kind of that's what pulls everything together.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I get that.
That color inside is what pulls everything together.
I feel like my younger self didn't appreciate, like, this is me coming full circle on live. My younger self was a very selfish player, and I wanted to show off. I wanted to do all the things the tenor was doing. I wanted to have the runs. I wanted to have the moment. However, fast forward, every piece plays its part, just like you said. Right?
It is hard though. I mean, for especially in I'll relate everything to my experience. It's hard though for me to say to someone like guitars will play for the most part. You're strumming all along, right? And it's hard though. So you kind of get it. It's there are spots where you can use to kind of double up on some lines and strengthen some lines just to break the monotony of the strum. But you have to have a special kind of drive to play the guitar because it's just that strum. That's the heartbeat of it for me. That's where that's the center of it. Everything really revolves around that for me, right? So it's and then when you see people just strumming and that's all you do. That's all you do. But it's so important. So my challenge in rehearsal is to, when guitars show up to practice, is to tell them how important the part is.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, especially with either newer or lesser experienced players that either somehow find their way in that section, I make it a point to tell them how important that is so that they have the appreciation that that it's needed and it makes a difference. A lot of the times I'll cut the guitars out so I can actually hear everything else and how everything else makes sense, and more so for the rest of the band to hear the conversations that are happening so that they know what they're listening to. Because again, when you have the guitars in there, they're just coloring everything and making everything. When you take it out, you have the skeleton in there, and they can really hear in that space what's happening and kind of know what to listen to. And you layer back the guitars and then like, okay, it makes sense.
Right.
See, if I had that talk when I was 9, I'd still be playing. No.
I don't know if I was arranging when you were 9.
You probably thought about it.
No,
can I confess something?
I
enjoy strumming.
You enjoy strumming?
I do.
But wait, do you like the or do you like the like?
I mix it up.
Okay, but see, you have a choice. I didn't have a choice. Like when we were playing PIMP and it's like, it's like, what?
And I don't get it though. Like, I think especially when you slow it down with no rhythm, the guitar strum is one of the sexiest things in Pan, right? Like how?
But no, see that had too much strum, right? What you just did, that was a lot.
but
Like if that is
but
sexy, that sounded
this is
good.
how I speak to the band too. So this is common verbiage. This is how I speak to them,
Right.
right? Say and they understand that, right? That's
Right.
the synergy that we have. They
Yeah.
understand that kind of language, right? And it's just
Mm-hmm.
Right.
so because I have it in here, what I want to
Mhm.
hear, I
Mhm.
verbalize that, and they understand it, and I think I do a good job at getting through to people to kind
Right.
of get them to understand what I want from them from their instrument,
Mhm.
and for
Yeah.
the most part they do it.
Mhm. And I also think like levels of like Danielle when we were in the band, like people were coming in, people were coming out. So it's like you would have guitar players, but then I think Dad knew that I was stuck there, so I was not going anywhere. So you're gonna strum,
Yeah.
but these other guitar players are gonna come and go. But at least we have like a constant thing right here, right? So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You get spoiled. That's if you want to spoil me in a band, give me a guitar section.
Hmm.
Guitar section. Cause everything, not to downplay everything else, but it's again, it's that's the center of everything for me. Then you have little
Mhm.
toys like, I'm very particular with how I use quadraphonics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very particular with how I use double tenors, right? And even now, even over the last couple of years, I've been trying to experiment with different things in terms of voicing and what to double and what not to, and still thinking through a lot of the things I want to play with this year. We had a rehearsal last night, and but it's hard though, again, because you have the small core. It's hard to figure those things out until I get a little bit more people in the panyard, right?
Sorry, we're laughing because my dad just joined.
uh,
Bring them in. Bring them in.
on your best behavior.
Nope. Bring them in. Dad, can you join the live? Join the live, Dad. Tell the people why you made me strum for my dear life.
Oh gosh.
Let me see if I could find him. Since you talked about guitar fans and when they show up, the most friends that I've spoken to, they said they have trouble with tenors. Do you have that issue?
Single tenors?
Yeah.
Yeah. Single tenors, yes.
Yeah.
Because they're so few and far between. Well, my particular tenor players, they they don't come to practice all the time, and I think it's a mix of a few things: commitment, but also just because my music is more, I pay more attention to what's happening inside, and they get most of the work. The tenors, when you listen to my music, you hear the tenors, and I don't challenge them as much as I should, and I'll admit that. It's not something that I do on purpose. It's just
Yeah.
that I have more of a feeling. I'm more inclined to work with some counter melodies inside. And that's where that's where my strength is, in building the music inside there.
Yeah. Kyle has a comment. You should consider the tuning styles before making decisions like that.
Pardon?
So Kyle made a comment saying you should consider the tuning styles before making decisions like that. I don't know what you said before.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense to
Styles,
you.
you could elaborate on that, so I understand
Yeah.
what's happening.
So
Sorry. Dad, can you turn the volume down on the TV?
or turn it off.
Or off?
Pops, you look like you're in Trinidad.
Because he is.
Oh, oh boy. Here we go.
Lovely. It's quiet now. Welcome.
Did we get a response from Kyle yet?
No, I didn't see one.
Okay.
It's for the tuning style before making.
So hello, Father. This is Mr. Al Foster.
We met briefly in December, was it?
Yes,
Where?
I think so.
Where?
In
You came to
Toronto,
my pan yard in
Pan
Toronto.
Fantasy.
Okay, okay.
Right. Yes, sir. How are you?
No, not too bad.
Good, good, good.
He
Well,
said
you
voice.
can't be too bad. You're in Trinidad.
Yeah, I'm here, but you ain't buy no pants.
Pardon?
Yeah,
Oh.
you ain't buy no pants.
Yes, we did. We
Did you?
absolutely did.
Did you?
Me, I don't play pan.
Oh, okay,
That's the
okay.
honest
That's a
truth.
good.
That's the honest truth.
That's a
I
good.
don't play pan,
Okay.
Or you
so
could
that's why.
have them as a. You could have them on your table, just sitting. I'll send some
Yes,
for you. I'll send some for you.
but I definitely would like to support because I know that there, especially with the school board that I work with, we are constantly looking for suppliers. They're actually, if offline, we can talk about that because there is an opportunity. There's always an opportunity to promote and get your products, but we are looking for suppliers, or I'm looking for suppliers from certain areas to supply the schools with pan sticks.
Well, stop looking. You find one.
All right, found them. Yeah,
So what?
offline we'll
Kyle said.
figure that part out.
Yeah, we'll talk. Kyle said different tuning could change the texture of the voicing.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm well aware of that, and yes, I should have mentioned that, but you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we brought you on here because we want to find out why you put Sherelle on strumming for her dear life.
Let me just add the disclaimer that I'm not a part of this. I'm just an innocent bystander, and I happen to be witnessing the conversation. I had no parts of this thing was going to go on right now between you all. I just sitting.
But
I'm standing
listen,
back
the
and
first
watching with
person
you.
who talks is the most guiltiest. So you just let yourself.
I'm just a spectator.
So
I'm
Dad,
spectating with
what I
you.
was saying, I'll put myself out there. I was thinking that when I was in the band, it was just like boring strumming for me. And I always wanted to play tenor and I wanted to do like a little run, but like the look of death that you gave me, it was like stick to those two notes. So why? Why? And it was explained actually. Well, go ahead.
Well, the cellos was the guts of the pan, and you could strum very good. You know?
I knew he was going there. I was scared that he was gonna go there. He was going there. Okay, so I was the guts.
Yeah.
I was the guts. I was the essence of Trincan.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel, Danielle?
You were the middle. You were the miggle.
She's the middle child, so it makes sense.
Oh,
I am.
it explains a lot. That explains
everything. So, Dad, yeah. So tell us more about your sticks, Dad.
Well,
Tell us.
It's the best thing. It's the best thing for the 21st
And
century
I didn't
right now.
buy none.
It's the best thing. Anybody who don't have fantastic missing out.
Why is it the best? Like, what about the sticks makes it unique? Tell us. I know, but I don't think everyone out there knows because, when
the good thing about it, when you're playing, the head ain't gonna come out.
Yeah, but also the moisture of the stick, the research.
It have a certain moisture in the sticks. We have two different weight in the sticks. We have two different type of rubber. You you have so many choices.
And what the selection that you have? Like I see those look like tenor sticks, Danielle.
We have tenor, we have double tenor, we have double second, we have chords,
Okay.
we have cellos, we have guitar pan,
All right.
we have tenor bass.
What?
I'm the only person who have a stick for every
All
pan.
right. All right. All right. I'm curious
Every pan.
because I think I've only seen the tenor and the second, so I'm curious to see the others.
No, I have tenor, I have double tenor, I have
Nice.
second, I have cellos, I have
Well, I can get ready.
quadrophonics, I have cellos, I have, you know,
You
everything.
have tenor basses.
Tenor bass, everything.
Yeah.
What made you make the sticks? Why did you create sticks? Why?
Well, when I was in, I don't know if you know Fort McMurray.
Mhm.
I had a band. I had a band in Fort McMurray, and we used to play out, and we were playing on the stage one day, and this native girl,
Mhm.
she was playing in the background, and I was playing up front. I was playing tenor, and her sticks unloose and fly out, and she knows nothing but sticks. While the band was playing, she come up and touching my back and telling me her sticks, her sticks was no good. She can't play. So I had to force her and tell her to go back when the song finished. I'll deal with that. But she didn't want that. So the song finished, and I went and tell her. And I said, this ain't gonna happen anymore. I'm gonna come out with this stick. And that's how I start working on. I worked on it
Solution.
for over 20 something years before I come out with the right rubber. And now I have it.
Nice.
So that's slingshot.
It's
Where have
something
you
that,
marketed this though? Where have you marketed your sticks?
well, I have it in people in Toronto, people in New York, people in England, people in Boston, you name it. In Trinidad, a lot of people have it. I just sell some sticks to someone from was that college? It's a college, the college that won the Panorama presentation college. I just sell some to the teacher there, and she told me she's gonna be buying six for the rest of the band. I sold six to churches. You know, Johan Chuckery uses my
Nice.
stick. A lot of soloists use the sticks. Lots of people there use the
Yeah,
sticks.
and when you were at our Panyard in Toronto, there were someone actually bought some from you that day, and
Yeah,
I tried it, and I like the performance of it. It's very nice. The weight is very nice, and even the tone that you get from the instrument is very nice. Very, very,
exactly.
very good.
Exactly. Eventually, it's new on the market, so gradually people will get to know it, and
Yeah.
I hope everybody will be using it pretty soon.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
We as human beings are usually resistant to change, and there's a lot. I know you understand the cultural nostalgia of having to wrap your own sticks, and and some of us grew up with that, being taught that. So I don't have that same appreciation, but being from another generation, I have elders who have showed me that and showed me where that came from. How do you convince someone to change that, to get to adapt to this new style?
It's very hard because I go to lots of people, and they don't say that they like the rap stick, and that's it. Sometimes someone will buy the sticks, but they don't actually use it. They just have it because it's attractive stick. But most of the people who buy the sticks are the younger people. Lots of them are buying the sticks. Young people who now coming into the pan world, or who in the pan world maybe 10, 15 years ago But the folks that in the panhole from since Spree Simon, them with the rap sticks, and that's it, you know. But eventually, I'll get everyone coming my way. I'll get them.
So your target is
Some,
generally a certain
the
demographic,
youth.
certain age group.
Yeah, the schools, you know, and now in Trinidad, what I notice, because a lot of people approach me, when you get your book list in school, they have pan sticks on the book list. So I want to go into the bookstores and see if I can get someone in the bookstores to sell the sticks, so when the people come to buy the books, the sticks are there. They don't have to go elsewhere to look for the sticks, you know. And then you can order the sticks what length you want. Someone just ordered some sticks from me. They want a certain length and a certain color, you know. I'll make it. It just will have to have an extra course for that, you know. But that's how it goes, you know.
What? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, you can go.
I think in my situation, I teach grade 4 to 8 steel pan, and I think the benefit for me having it with my age group is that a lot of the kids tend to want to peel off the rubber, because our sticks aren't wrapped. It's just the surgical tubing that the typical ones, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the kids always take them off. So that's in my first introductory classes of the year. It's always, you know, don't eat the sticks, don't eat the sticks, you know. And I make a joke out of it, but it's like, really, don't take the tops off the sticks, you know. Yeah.
Well,
so I think having
mine,
your sticks that don't have that extra piece that you can rip off, I think that's a benefit to a program like mine.
Oh yeah, it will work for sure. You know, but you know, as kids again, you know, they like to bite off things, and it's everyone wouldn't bite. Put pepper on the stick, I better wouldn't bite.
Dan, what's the negative side of buying your sticks? You know the answer to this. I'm just curious for it.
It's not too negative in buying my
It
sticks.
lasts long. It lasts too long.
Yeah, I know that that's good and bad.
It is good and bad.
Yeah.
Good and bad. It's good for the person who buy the stick, and it's bad for the person who's selling the sticks. So it is a positive, negative. Because I know Johan was using my one pair of sticks I gave him about 6 or 7 years ago.
Wow.
And he's still using it. And I said, man, you're crazy. You know, for a stick to last that long, when you buy a drumstick, it don't last that long. You know?
And the
So,
thing
you know, that.
I was going to say, the thing with the sticks is that they mold to the way you play.
Yeah.
After a while, yeah.
Yeah, the rubber kind of, because I went to listen to last carnival, I went to listen to police band practice, and I see 2 girls were playing a single second with my sticks, and when they were running the song just by themselves, and the kind of tone I hear were coming from the pan, I said, man, my sticks are good. I said, those sticks are dynamite. They're super. You know, they're really good. You know, I don't want to boast, but
boast.
I know.
Boast. Please boast.
You put in the work for it. Like, can you also explain that? Can you explain that machine that you created to determine how many beats, like the rolls? I don't have it.
I made a machine to actually beat the sticks to see how long it's gonna last, and I get thousands of beats per minute, and no wear and tear on the rubber, you know. Because
that's very good.
You know, I make this. You know, if you go on Instagram, it's there. You see where the motor is eating the sticks, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely a
I'm
plus
not,
for the schools because those
you
things, the
know,
wear and tear is the biggest thing, right? Because you have a lot of kids using them and then lesser experience, so you know they don't quite have the strength and the dexterity in their hands to play it properly.
exactly, exactly. Because everyone that who buy my sticks, it's someone that see with it and get in contact with me. And I haven't done any too much advertisement by bands and all these things. Like someone, this guy, he loved my sticks too bad. What's his name? Um, Jit Summer's son,
Amrit.
who Amrit. I saw him Panorama final night. He bought 2 pairs of tennis sticks. He said, then he sent a message to me, somebody take the sticks from him.
Yeah.
So see him with the sticks and
He
take
needs
the
to
sticks
buy
from
some
him.
more. Somebody
So,
played it and was like, listen,
so
you
I
ain't
have
getting
to
back
get
this, you know.
I go to this, he invite me up at his place, so I have to go up there to,
Yeah,
to sell him some more,
right.
some of the players, you know. Yeah,
That's a good
he
problem to
bought the
have.
sticks from Panorama. He said, someone take the sticks from him already.
Yeah. So you're not getting these back. Sorry, they're mine. I like them. Go buy another pair. Yeah. Good problem to have.
Yes. So that's you know all the positive on the six. So I hope when I finish here tonight, I will get about 10 orders or so.
10, that's it?
How to order.
Yeah,
How to
that's
order.
what I want to know. You know.
So if you see in the pinned comment, it says at Pantastics868, because I saw someone asked just website. So we don't have a website yet. But if you go to IG, Pantastics868, there'll be one of the highlights on how to order. And you just send a DM, the weight, the color, the style, and we'll send over an invoice and then we'll do the delivery. So it's an in-house situation.
And we'll get you a website.
Yeah.
She's working on it.
Oh, is he? Okay.
The one down there.
He's over here for me.
I'm not too much. I'm not too much on the
He doesn't like the website.
computer part. I just making the sticks.
Yeah. And from a business owner perspective, I can understand that because I also own another business, a food business, and I can't say hate, but it's one of my least favorite things to do. As much as I'm on my phone and I consider myself to be tech savvy, I think this takes up a lot of time. But you have to have, I find it necessary, especially necessary because in that particular business, people eat with their eyes. So, you know, I'm on the Instagram, I'm on the Facebook, and, you know, those things are important.
If I give you a joke, someone, I didn't know anything about Instagram. I don't know, you know, when somebody sent me an order 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I just answered, I just happened to see it about a week and a half ago.
Wow.
I sent the message to her, and right now I'm organizing to make the sticks for her.
Okay.
And it
Nice.
so happens she lives in the States. She lives in the States, but she's in Trinidad now until the middle of, she sent me a text today telling me she's going to be here until April.
All right.
About April 15th.
Good
So
save.
I'm making a
Good save.
special stick for
2 years. Wow.
2 years.
And she still wants to stick, so
Good
you know.
save.
I didn't know anything about how to answer this thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just realized how to answer it now, and I answered, and I'm a little bit more comfortable now, so you know,
You're doing
I know how
good.
to look for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask for the help. It's not as scary
No.
as you know.
Well,
He's not afraid to ask for that help.
The invoice part I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
I asked it left, right, and center. I asked it anything.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not scared to do that.
Your daughters
That's
will help
something I do.
you.
Oh yeah.
We have no
No one else is
Wait.
laughing.
Guys, listen,
Now you're
this is a
laughing.
whole, like I said, it's a whole family business here.
Listen, listen. That's
Here responding to DMs, pretending I'm him, and I'm just like, okay, where are you? Are you gonna pick it up? Like, how are we doing this?
yeah, that's
What-
what needs to happen.
What? Well, yeah. What I gonna ask now? Everybody gonna laugh. What DM?
Direct message.
That makes sense.
So DM or PM. PM is another word like private message.
Private message, yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
So your inbox. So DM direct message. So instead of putting it out for people to see, it's
Oh.
delivered
Directly
directly to your mailbox. Right. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I don't know how to do
You-
that.
No.
Been doing it though. You've been doing
Well,
it.
if I
Yeah.
do it, then it's just
The
luck
lady,
and chance.
you're 2 years late. We got to change the pickup time. You've been DMing, you just don't know it.
Didn't know.
You're about 2 years late.
Well, and she was laughing laughing at me.
Oh, me.
I'm actually,
It's okay.
I'm happy that the story.
Oh.
Let me tell you, I'm actually happy that story turned out. It's worked out well for everyone, because as and talking about steel pan as an industry, a global industry, you are very, very necessary. We are all necessary. Everybody has different parts in the thing, and I think you are necessary, and everybody is necessary. And there's so much room. Like you have so many different other manufacturers that do things, but there's room for everyone. There really is room for everyone, and I think that's something that we have to continue to remember. You know, is that there's room for everyone, and everyone has their place. So I'm glad you're here,
sure.
and I'm glad you're, and I would love to support you any way I can. Like I said, I don't play pan. I actually I got a request. I used to do solo gigs, and I just haven't. Soloing is not my thing. Playing by myself, I'm always, I find my zone with my squad. That's my element, right? With people around me that are my pan family. So Pan Fantasy is my pan family. So when I'm with them, I'm in my element. When I'm with a group that I vibe with, that's my element. So I don't do the solo thing anymore, but I still do support people who do. So the odd time I'll get a call and somebody wants a wedding or somebody wants this, and I'll say, hey, call my friend. And I usually have a list of people that I send numbers to, and I call them and give them the heads up.
I used to play with the first band in Toronto.
Pardon?
I used to play pan with the first band in Toronto.
Tell me about it.
I used to play,
Tell all of
I
us.
used to play with Impact. You ever heard about Impact?
Yes.
Well, I was the lead tenor man in Impact.
Okay.
I and a guy that called Wayne. You must know Wayne.
Say again?
Wayne.
Wayne?
Yeah.
What's his last name?
I can't remember.
Okay.
But we was in Impact. And then, you must know Ian Jones.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Ian Jones.
Yeah, because all of us used to play in Impacts together.
Yes.
Earl
Lapierre, senior. So one of our senior members, or founding members of Pan Fantasy, Spy, Carl Husbands.
Yeah.
He came from so I guess Afropan was around.
Yeah, Afropan come from Impact.
Right. And Pan Fantasy formed from Afropan. The group split from Afropan and formed Fantasy.
You would know Trinbirds.
I know the name, and that's the name that I associate with Ian Jones.
Right. Well, when we leave Impacts, when Impacts went with Afropan, Ian Jones formed Trinbirds, and I and Wayne were the two tenor person in Trinbirds.
Trinbirds, yeah. There's a
Yeah.
lot of names. There's Tubman Survivors.
Right.
What was it? Was another one called the Average Steel Band?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Peters used to be the tuner for most of those
Ed
bands.
Peters, yeah.
And then Earl Wong.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are other names? Taspo.
Yeah, but by that time I left Toronto.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
drawing
I left-
blanks now,
I left-
but there's all these names. These are names that me as a teenager with some of the
Right.
elders in the community were kind of educating me on how steel pan in Toronto kind of evolved. So
Right,
and we
right.
still hear about those names to this date. And a lot of those
Right.
Yeah.
those people, I don't want to call any names because I'll miss a few, and then people say,
Yeah.
"Oh, you call my name, but you didn't call my name." So I out of that. So anyway, but there's so many names of people, men and women too,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
some are still with us and some unfortunately have departed.
Yeah.
But a lot of Toronto has a lot of history that I don't think we celebrate too often.
Right.
Pan Arts Network, which is Wendy Jones, Elton Jones, and a smaller group that puts on the Snowflakes and Steel. They do their best to kind of bring those people, especially
Okay.
those people to light, to kind of inform everyone. They have
Okay.
a pioneer award that they've awarded to. I don't know
Okay.
who they're gonna find next year, because it's all every year. Every year it's somebody. I'm like, okay,
I remember when Sherelle was coming back to Canada, we was in Toronto. I bumped up. I introduced it to Earl Pierre.
Yeah.
Remember, I introduced it to the guy who he bought some six from me right in the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Earl Pierre senior, not the junior.
Yeah.
The senior. I met him in the airport. And we were talking because we haven't seen each other for maybe about 50 years, So but I hope my pants, not I hope,
They will.
it will be the stick of choice sooner than later.
Sure.
Sooner than
I'll get
later.
that website up.
Sure. Yeah. That's important. Having that, and again, support is important, especially now.
Yeah.
Like you're necessary. You're absolutely necessary
Mm-hmm.
in this community.
So I
Jimmy
think
made a comment. Sorry, Jimmy made a comment. Al, you lie. You're Canada's baddest soloist.
Who said that?
Jimmy.
Who Jimmy? Jimmy, listen.
LePierre, Jimmy.
Jimmy, tell Jimmy stop it. Jimmy, listen. I'm not a LaPierre, okay? Let me read that clear, okay? I am not a LaPierre.
Yeah. Dad, Jimmy. I believe Jimmy and Earl also have your first set of sticks with the green top.
Oh, he had that.
Yeah.
That's the
Oh, that's
oh,
that light green. That light green
The light
one,
green.
right? Like that
light
Yeah.
green.
Yeah.
That's way back. That's my first set of sticks.
Wow.
Oh, that's about 20 something years old.
Yeah.
It's almost as old as me.
Yeah.
I have a question. Okay, so sorry, I came in late. Aloes? Is that her name? Aloes?
Yes.
Okay. So you teach in schools, right?
Yes, I work for the Toronto District School Board.
So how did you teach Pan in school?
That's correct.
So what was that transition like? Like how did you get to teach Pan in the school?
It was
They had
actually
Pan in Toronto from a while
Oh,
ago.
really?
It was actually a job that fell in my lap, to be honest. I was I was running my own music school for
Mhm.
a couple of years, and a friend of mine that I met, a colleague of mine who we became friends through Steel Pan. I was involved in through the the Naparima Alumni Association of Canada had
Mm.
sponsored a steel band at West Humber Collegiate, and the steel band called Panache. And one of the members who was actually a principal in the schools, her name is Portia Barif. She was the one who approached me one day and basically said, so there was a few schools in a select area, Jane
Yeah.
and Finch, that had some access to some funding, and they brought me in as they kind of went under the radar, and they brought me in as an instructor to instruct a couple of schools, and it was funded by this model schools program that they called it. Music Counts is the name of the organization that gave us the grant. So I started teaching there with the Toronto District School Board. That was in 2008. And then in 2011, that lasted for maybe a year and a half.
Mhm.
And then we had to stop. And then after, there's an echo somewhere.
Yeah. Danielle, I think when you came back, there was an echo.
The echo.
Dad, can you come out for a sec?
Oh.
Oh no, it's good. It's good.
No, it's not. But anyway, I'll continue. And I'm sorry to ignore that. So in 2008, we started. In about a year and a half, the program ended, and then I was hired on the board in 2011. And since then, I've been employed with them, instructing grades 5 to 8, and then a couple of years ago, we included grade 4s.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's my involvement with the Toronto District School Board. And my least favorite thing about that particular job is because I have a very good connection to young people, and you see them grow, and you see it's me being a relatively young person myself. It's a lot when you see someone grow through, you have them from a certain age, and then they grow and they move on, and you feel like a parent, like, they kind of fly the coop and then they leave. And that's always been the hardest part of my job, is separating from these kids and seeing them really move on when you really want to see them grow more, right? Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that Pan was in schools like that in Toronto.
Oh yeah, Pan has been, so since I've been in.
Yeah.
I remember. So my involvement with Steel Pan. I'll tell you the story how I got involved in Steel Pan. So I grew up in Jane and Finch, and I went to Shoreham Public School, and there was a school next door, high school next door. Junior high school, sorry. It was called Junior High at the time, grade 7, 8, 9. They had a Steel Pan program, and the kids would come over on occasion and they would perform for us. So they would have a big concert in the gym, or then they would play popular songs and we would love it. And I always grew, I was always interested in the instrument, which was key for me because my background is not Trinidadian, as I'm not sure you guys know that. Right. My background, my parents are from Jamaica. So it was a different experience for me. Right. So I just I catch everybody with that. Especially because I know the accent and thing. It just feel like a Trini, but I'm not a Trini. I'm really a Jamaican. My family is from Jamaica. Anyway, long story short, when we were so that was the school when I graduated from Shoreham. That was the school I was to attend, Jane Junior High School, which Lane Clark was the instructor, the teacher over there. And we eventually moved. My family eventually moved to Etobicoke to another, and I was at another school, and I missed the opportunity to play steel pan. In grade 7, I was given the opportunity at this new school, Elm Bank Middle School at the time, and I lost the opportunity because, being the new kid, a boy decided to pick on me, and I got into a little fight, and the teacher said, "No steel pan for you." So I lost. And I really wasn't fighting. I was just defending myself, but I was involved. But I lost a privilege. It wasn't until grade 10 in West Humber Collegiate, when they started the steel pan program there, that I eventually joined steel pan. I learned to play pan. I was 15 years old when I learned to play pan. Yeah, and the rest is history.
Wow. I'm really proud.
Yeah. So I actually teach at Elm Bank now. The school that I attended.
Danielle, I think it's unmute your mic.
I did. I just wanted to ask, or say, I believe it was Jimmy's dad that started pan in schools in Toronto. Is that correct?
I don't know the exact history, but I know that he was very instrumental in steel pan in Toronto, especially in the schools. There are a few names. I don't know who the exact person is. I don't remember. But I know that Earl Lapierre Sr. is definitely one of the pioneers of steel pan in every sense,
And you said you did, so you started off playing and now you're arranging, right?
I arranged, so...
what was the transition for that? I've taken over All Things Pan, by the way, people. So my name is Sherelle. I am All Things Pan. Danielle, put your camera back on.
So funny story with, again, how I got involved with Pan Fantasy. My teacher, my steel pan teacher, Panman Pat McNeely, was the man that I credit for handing me my first pair of pan sticks. He was very good friends with the arranger for Pan Fantasy at the time, who was Lincoln Waldron, who was one of our arrangers at the time. And, he had he said to him, I have some kids here, let me bring them to your band, and then that was it. But the funny story about that, though, was when Caravana happens every summer, Civic Holiday Weekend, and my mom used to go with my godmother, and Jamaicans, they used to go, they were all into the Byron Lee and everything, and they loved Caravana, and I used to have to go, and I hated every single part. And I shouldn't even say it like that, because it wasn't that I hated it. I was just a kid, and I didn't really understand that part. So me being a Canadian, non-Trinidadian, is like, what are we doing here, right? I'm hungry, I'm tired, why is everyone dancing, all that stuff. So but it was exposure to the culture, and so the parade was on University Avenue at this time, and there was a floats passing everywhere, and there was a steel band that decided to pass, and I'm really digging the sound of the pan. At this point, I know nothing about steel pan, and I'm really digging the sound of the pan, and so the band is going by, and I decide, I'm holding on to the back of the float and just chipping, as they say, and I'm just walking, and that managed to keep me quiet. And my mom was like, okay, good. And would you know that band that was playing there, that I gravitated to as a kid, was Pan Fantasy?
Wow.
It wasn't until years later that I actually saw in pictures, and I was like, wait a minute. And then I matched the colors because they were all wearing shirts, and I matched it. I was like, wait, what year was that? And then I matched times and all that stuff. And I was like, I'm here, right? So it was a full circle moment.
Yeah.
Definitely a full circle moment. So I don't take that for granted, especially when I consider what I am to Pan Fantasy now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, and I didn't just come to Pan Fantasy and learn to arrange. Like I was brought in, you know, my teacher brought me there and I learned to play. And then, you know, one of my best friends said, hey, you know, you should try arranging some music. Then I was kind of encouraged to do it. I was actually taught to lead this group. So, you know, and that's kind of what, when I teach my programs and I look at kids, I see the kids all the time. I always tell them, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Why not be a musician? You know, have any of you wanted to be a musician? Then 9.5 times out of 10, the answer is no. And, you know, I say, well, hey, listen, I'm a musician. Like, I don't want to be you. You're a teacher. You're mean. But I say, you know, but I always, as a product of the system,
Yeah.
I always label myself as that. I'm a product of the system. I came out through that system, and I understand how, you know, these kids can have the same kind of future, right? So that's my contribution to the program with the TDSB. You know, and
wow.
Yeah, and then of course being in a public school board, you know, there's certain things there's a certain path that you have to take with them, right? You can't really just, you know, you have certain paths that you have to go in. But I always just for saying it, something for nothing, like if you don't know what you want to be and you find something here, you know, you can be a musician.
Yeah.
And even and I encourage kids too that when they learn to play steel pan, if you're done with steel pan, you can take what you learned here and go learn to play a guitar, go learn to play a saxophone, go learn. Music is music.
Be a dancer.
Right? Be a dancer. Yeah. Yeah. Music is music. So I mean, everything has its place, and there's room for everybody, I always say.
Yeah.
And I also want to say, like, when it comes to Pan, it also teaches you discipline and consistency and being on time and what happens when you're late.
Yeah. I also have a question for the both of you. I'm echoing Danielle. You're after me. What would you say top 3 characteristics are that you need to have as an arranger? Hi, Nigel. Maybe top 3, or maybe the number 1. Like, don't surpass 3. But like, what do you think as an arranger? What are some like core qualities you need to have?
You have to be a good listener. You have to be a good listener. The active listening, I think, especially when it comes to listening and interpreting music. So how I interpret music is I listen to, obviously, there's a calypso. We're talking about like any kind of arrangement. I shouldn't limit it to Panorama, but any kind of arrangement, I'm always listening for different things. I'm listening on the superficial level to hear what everything is, and then I'm also trying to actively zone in on something, right? You catch something, you know, whether it's, and those are all the different nuances, right? You catch, maybe there's a rhythm pattern that you catch that's unique to that, or you catch an instrument, you know, then you'll realize that there's some instruments that are not as pronounced that are in the background. And I think that's where my love for creating music in the middle comes from. It's that active listening and hearing, because I listen to a lot of music that has horn parts, wind instruments, and things like that, and you know, counter melodies, a lot of counter melodies. I listen to a lot of that stuff, so it's not that difficult for me to create something that I'm satisfied with, because I understand that part of my musical voice, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I've had to work on, you know. But I think number one, listening over anything is you have to listen. Be a very good listener. One of the we have one of our youngest members is, she's so talented. Like I can't tell you how immensely talented. She doesn't know her talent. She's 16 years old. She's so talented, and I tell everyone about her. And the one thing I always tell them, is that she's an excellent listener. That's how she retains the music. She's an excellent listener, right? So even for people who are having difficulties, a lot of people try and do so much at once. We have to remember that when we're interpreting music, you're reading it, you're listening to it, you're looking at a music sheet sometimes, and then you have to interpret that, and you have to process that in your mind, and then you have to then translate that to your hands.
Yeah.
And then follow along. That's a lot. And stay in time, right? That's a lot of things that I'm asking you to do at once. So break it down. Listen, right? What is it when you have conversations with people and they're talking all over the place? We can tell them, shh, just listen. Stop talking. Just listen. 2 ears, listen, right? Listen and understand what's happening. And then you can see, okay, I know that this is being played as da 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 da. Then I can try and process that and try and duplicate that. And then it's a lot. You add the layers to it.
Yeah.
And that makes more sense than trying to listen to it on a superficial level, and you play, then you might end up playing da 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 da.
Hearing it in your
You're hearing it, but you haven't processed it in order to make it consistent with what you're playing with. Right?
Yeah.
So listening is an important skill.
Love it. Danielle, with the Goey money.
I am sorry. I apologize. We good? Okay. So I agree. It's listening for me. Although I'm still learning when I'm becoming an arranger, I'm still learning the process. But for me, it's definitely listening. And what I've noticed is when I'm arranging for my band, I'm telling them to listen to the song first, so they get familiar with it, and then whatever I put in is just bonus. It's just bonus pieces. But I really want them to listen to the music before I even start the song, to get them to recognize what's going on. We have some new people in the room. I just want to say welcome to All Things Pan. I am your host, Danielle George. We have Mr. Al and Miss Sherelle joining us today. We're just talking about literally all things Pan. It's our open discussion today. I normally talk to, if it was Al, I'd be talking to him one-on-one. But it's an open discussion, so we're just talking about anything and everything. So if you have any questions for us,
Al?
Al,
When's your birthday?
It was like a few days ago.
My birthday is on March the 23rd. Which was 4th? Yes, 23rd.
Oh,
it was
she's
4
writing it
days
down.
ago.
No, Danielle, I need you to mute your mic for a second. So, as I know, I'm not a pan player right now, but like, as a soca is my love language. We're going to do this right now.
Oh, good. It's your birthday, baby.
Hey, mommy, when you put your little body when you hurt somebody when you want you got me sing down.
Hey, 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 hey. I appreciate that. So
I
it's funny.
fulfilled my duty as a soca person in that mix, and I fulfilled my duty.
You guys would have so much fun. You guys have to come back to my panyard. Well, Danielle, you have to come back, and
I will
Cheryl,
come.
you have to come because for birthdays. So for birthdays, yesterday we had rehearsals. So we rehearse on Sundays and Thursdays, and yesterday we had we cut the cake in the panyard for when we have. There's actually 3 people who have the same birthday. Like I share the birthday with 2 other people associated with the band. So we were all present last night and we had a cake, and this reminded me of that because it's a whole extra thing. We sing. It's at the end of practice, so we did the business first.
Of course.
At the end of it, we have a song that we made up that it's really just it's cut the cake, right? That happened organically, but it's one of the songs that we keep now, and we just we have a beat and we just like cut the cake, cut the cake, cut the cake, and it's real. Depending on who's in the yard, it can get really, really hype. Let's say. So it was funny. It was a funny thing, actually. Yeah. So I think you guys would love that. You guys would love that. So,
yeah.
I think
Danielle, go down for Caravana.
Yeah, you're on my WhatsApp, right, Danielle? Look at your WhatsApp stories right now. I think it should still be there. If not, I'll send it. Yeah. So it's on my WhatsApp stories. Yeah.
Okay, Danielle, I have to go. An hour. This is amazing. Thank you for
joining
having
us.
me. I'll be back.
Of course.
Very nice to talk to you.
You as well. Much love to the cello fans.
Yes.
We out here. We're the heart.
All
We're
right.
the gut.
Fellows, yes.
We're the heart. Good night.
Good night. Have a good
Good
one.
night.
Be blessed.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Well, we have been on for almost 2 hours,
I
so
know.
it was a good chat though.
It was good talking to you. Let's do this again. I want to come back and just. I wasn't prepared. So you
don't need to be prepared for an open
tell
discussion.
Tell everyone how this whole thing came about. Because you messaged me at like 6 o'clock. I was like, "How you doing, bro? You want to come out at 8?" And I was like, Can you do next week? And you're like, "No, where's somebody else next week?" It's okay, fine.
But you enjoyed it and you had fun.
Absolutely enjoyed it.
See?
Yep.
And you didn't have to prepare anything.
Didn't have to prepare nothing. Just talk.
Exactly. Just like when you're going to a panyard, you see people and you're just talking.
Depends on which panyard idea. Depends on which panyard idea. But I know what you're saying.
Okay.
Cool.
I appreciate that. But yeah, I'm looking. What, do you have a pan for me to come play on for Pan Live?
Like I said, if you can get by that whole thing with you and loyalty and this one want dibs first and this one want dibs second. If you show up in my panyard and say, "I'll the pan," I will find a pan. For you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I haven't really perfected the bass, so I rather just kind of do that for the professionals. But any other pan, I'm good.
There's room for you everywhere. We have a strong support system in our band that I like to brag about. That,
Okay.
We have a core people who come to practice regularly. They practice. They put in the time. A lot of people. Questions. The time. Oh, you're frozen. So I'm online by myself, ladies